All right. Hey there, guys. I am meteorologist Ben Peine here in the Extol Media Studios in uptown New Albany. And it's rinse and repeat weather again for today for this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, June the 25th. And we are getting started hot across the area, no doubt about that. There's a live look at that sunshine all across the area. Another heat advisory for today. No surprise with that, as we do just have the continuation of some really hot conditions across the area. And so as we look live here, we are going to be seeing those temperatures skyrocketing across the area. And we'll be pulling up a look at the current temperatures, the future temperatures, and when we will eventually get some relief across the area as well. So we've got plenty to cover here on this edition of Ben at 10. So thanks for tuning in here with us. And drop your name in the comment, maybe a good morning, maybe a weather question, whatever it might be, and your town. And we love to see all the folks, not only Kentucky and Indiana, southern Indiana specifically, but maybe on vacation, maybe the Gulf Coast, maybe the Southeast, maybe international, as I believe we had someone from Scotland yesterday. So you never know who's going to pop in. Thanks for being part of our show. I'm just looking here I'm just bringing up the Sat Rad and looking how quiet things are across the area right now. So I'm going to bring this up as we look at the big, powerful ridge of high pressure, the ring of fire, so to speak, where you see the ring of showers and some rain off to the northwest and to the north of our area. So once again, we are mostly high and dry. There might be, again, a late afternoon, early evening pop-up shower or thunderstorm like we've seen the last several days. So here is a look at extolmag.com/weather. Look at the current temperatures. Like the last couple of mornings, you're looking at 80s to around 90 degrees right now in Louisville. So it is already a super steamy start to the day. And in fact, today in Louisville, the official climate weather observation site for our region, it was 80 degrees, our low temperature this morning. So it looks like we could be off to a record warm low temperature this morning. I was just checking the audio video, make sure everything's looking good here. Looks like we're in good shape. Seeing some comments pop in. We'll get to those. We'll get to the forecast, and we'll get to Brad Weddington. It is Wednesdays with Weddington. So if you have any questions for Brad, drop them in the comments below. So we've got a good morning here from Beverly Haggis. Thanks for participating in the conversation with Brad a couple weeks ago as well. We love the questions. Thanks, Beverly, for tuning in. Orlean Whitlow, it's too hot. Sorry, too hot to get outside. I completely understand that. And there's Simon from West Hill, Scotland. Again, going international here this morning. Thanks, Simon, for tuning in. And we've got Marcelin Wilson. Good morning to you. Dennis Gregory, already hot in Bedford, Indiana. Hot and steamy everywhere. Florida-like conditions. And a little bit later, if you stay tuned, I asked AI to make me some "it's hotter than a" or "it's so hot" jokes. And AI is not all that funny just yet. I might have to try a different AI next time. But Lillian Lasley, good morning. Stay cool. We've got Robin Titchener from Crestwood, 91 degrees already. So it is crazy hot all across the area. Do want to take another look out here as we bring up the live cam, Falls of the Ohio Foundation camera, looking at the steamy conditions, the tropical conditions around the fossil beds and the Falls of the Ohio, just like the last couple of mornings that we've had here recently. So beautiful out there, especially if you're looking out your window, and hopefully your AC is working very well. A lot of times the AC can only cool your house down maybe like 15, 20 degrees cooler than the actual temperature. So it might still feel a little warmer than normal even inside your house, especially if your AC unit isn't working super efficient. So might think about those filters. Might talk to Brad about that a little bit later too. Hey, a shout out to ivytech.edu. It is Tuesdays at the Tech. Today is Wednesday. Obviously, they had Tuesdays at the Tech yesterday, but you can register at any time at ivytech.edu and then just head to locations, head to Sellersburg. That'll take you to their landing spot. You can learn about programs for high schoolers, free credentials with next level jobs, a lot of different programs there, how things transfer, how to pay for everything with their 42 different programs offered. You can see entrepreneurship, advanced automation and robotics, automotive technology, design technology, HVAC, industrial technology, manufacturing, production, and operations, so many different things that you can get a head start in your career and then take that education, head over to Lions Roofing, 812-294-3595. They've got a hiring section up here where they are still looking for that roofing repair technician. So if you know somebody, family, friend that needs an opportunity, you can head to Lions Roofing, but also look at all these job opportunities and available employment opportunities at Libs Paving. That is LIB as in Ben, paving.com. So you can head there, learn more about their organization, their operation, largest paving contractor in the region. So they've got a lot of opportunities there for you to maybe start your career. Check them out, libspaving.com. And then you can put all that money you gather right into your new bank account at NWSB. People you know wherever you go, banking the way you want at newwashbank.com. And you can then, if you keep getting that money, you can go to Brad Weddington Custom Homes, and you can build that brand new house right there. So WeddingtonCustomHomes.com. Also a reminder, you can always catch our broadcast live. Extol Media, EXTOL Media. Head over to YouTube, like, subscribe. That gets us out to more folks, and we appreciate you following us there. And if you ever want to partner up and let us be your Southern Indiana and beyond megaphone, you can contact me, Ben at extolmag.com, Jason at extolmag.com. Been averaging over 2 million views per month over the last 90 days. Or if you just have a weather question, hit me up there, Ben at extolmag.com. Reminder too, coming up next Thursday, July 3rd, my birthday. Come out and celebrate my birthday, of course, but also the United States' birthday. Play America, free concert with Louisville Orchestra and conductor Teddy Abrams out there. So that starts at 6 o'clock with the Family Field. This is at America Place in Jeffersonville at the Justica Cultural Center. So check it out. They've got food trucks, face painting, crafting, balloon creations, bounce houses, and more. Looks like we'll have some cooler conditions for that as well. And then the concert, the performance will begin at 8 o'clock. There is my little kitty cat, and that's how we all feel if you're outside, right? Look at him all sprawled out right there. That is Mr. P. Purrington, just splayed out there. We know the feeling there, Mr. P. We've got Jennifer Miller. Hey, Ben, so glad we can follow you. My relatives are in England and Ireland, so I do like to hear what the temperature is over there. So Simon, let us know what your temperature is there in Scotland. We've got a viewer there in Scotland, so pretty cool. All right. So I asked AI to make some hot jokes. And I'll just say I did the best I could to prompt it. I said, make it funnier. Make it funnier. And this is the best that we have for AI. Now, this is ChatGPT. It's hotter than a jalapeno in a sauna. Okay, I guess. Okay, depending on your level of sense of humor. It's hotter than a pizza oven on a summer day. Not a good joke. It's hotter than a phone on 100% battery after a 3-hour phone call. Not LOL, in my opinion. It's hotter than a Tinder date with no AC. Maybe a little bit better. It's hotter than grandma's casserole after she's been talking for 45 minutes. Also, not that great. So I think ChatGPT needs to level up on the humor a little bit. John Fox, regular viewer, I think he had one. It's so hot I saw a bird blow off a worm before it ate it. Something like that. All right, we all need to work on our it's hotter than jokes, but some of them can get pretty dirty, which I've seen online as well. And again, we'll get to Brad Weddington here in just a second. I can see him standing by there. He's raring to go. Here's a look at an isolated pop-up cloud, and with the crepuscular rays, part of the cloud was lit up, part of it was not. And this was from Robert Fisher. Thanks for posting this to me on the X platform. You see how isolated these things are? A lot of them are just very tiny when they pop up. You can see it's surrounded by sunshine. And if you look close, bottom center is the rain shaft. And it's perfectly up and down, north and south. So there's no wind in the atmosphere to really move these things around. And so they just sit still, they wash themselves out. And that is the nature of some of these pop-up showers and thunderstorms again for today. Some cool thoughts here. There you go. That was this February, really not all that long ago. Who's ready to go back to that? The winter-like conditions. I know it feels like it's kind of half and half. Some of you like the cool winter season. Some of you like the hot stuff. Today, we are one less with the UV index today. Yesterday and the day before, extreme 11. Today, very high. Doesn't really matter. You can still get burned as easily as my daughter did outside yesterday. Don't be my daughter. Put on the sunscreen. Your play ball forecast here, 91 by noon at least. Mid-90s again today. And yesterday was the hottest so far in our area at 97 officially in Louisville. A little cooler, of course, outside of the urban heat island, and about a 20% chance of that pop-up shower or thunderstorm, southwest wind at around 5 to 10. Here's that forecast for your June 25th, and mostly sunny until we start to get a few of those cumulus clouds. By the end of our show, we might see a few of those cumulus clouds starting to grow, and those are associated with those thermals that start to rise, these parcels of air. And that cumulus cloud that you see, it's just a rising parcel of air. And then if they get big enough late in the day, you might have a shower or thunderstorm. Super muggy tonight, low 78 degrees, near record warm low temperatures. In that forecast tomorrow, we're looking at 91 by noon, 95 in the afternoon. You know the routine here with the feels like around 100 to 105. So same deal for tomorrow pretty much. And the 7-day forecast, about a 30% chance of a shower or thunderstorm Friday. Still look at the heat index around 100 or so through the weekend. Now, Saturday, there could be a disturbance getting close enough that the rain chance goes up just a tad, but still that kind of scattered pop-up variety. I got it at about a 40%, low 90s, still super, super muggy, and about a 30% chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Generally the same forecast Sunday, Monday. Now, Tuesday, we get a front to move in. That should bring some scattered showers and thunderstorms for our July 1st. So maybe a little rain relief there initially, and then we're going to try to get the dew points that measure water content down a bit more on Wednesday. And so next Wednesday, look at the temperatures here in the upper 80s, a little less humidity, so we might eventually get a little bit of relief there as we head into next week. So about to bring in now the man of the hour here. Let's see if we can see Brad Weddington. Do you hear me, Brad?
I got you. Do you have me?
Yeah, I got you as well. So how's it feeling in the steamy backyard there?
Dude, it's rough. It's been a rough couple days, and it looks like there's really no end in sight.
Not anytime soon. Next week we might get a little bit of that relief. And I know around some of the farm fields in the countryside, we have evapotranspiration is what it's called. It's basically just the moisture coming off the cornfields and the soybeans. And actually the heat index can be even higher sometimes outside of the city around some of the farm fields, which is kind of, you don't think about that sometimes. Let me real quick put in your banner below here. So if you have any questions for Brad, you can always email me, ben@extolmag.com. Follow Wednesdays with Weddington on Facebook. We'll get his followers up. You can see the videos later on his Facebook page as well. And of course, just drop in the comments here below. If you have any questions around the home, Brad is here to help you with that. So is heat causing any issues? Your HVAC system, it could be anything. And it doesn't have to be heat related. Any question you might have around the house, that's what Brad is here for. So since we are in the middle of a heat wave, Brad, what would you consider something, we should all be thinking about around the home?
Number one, I mean, your air conditioning system is going to be working overtime. As long as these temperatures are plus 90 degrees. So one thing to think about is make sure that your filter is clean. If your filter is not clean, go ahead and change it out to a new, fresh filter. The best way to explain that to people is, your furnace, your blower motor on your furnace is running when your air conditioner is running. And that's transferring air within your home. If that filter is clogged, try to breathe and then try to put your shirt over your mouth and then try to breathe. It's gonna be even harder, just like it's gonna be harder on your AC system if that filter is clogged up. it can hurt your airflow. It can really hurt your home from getting cooler to the temperature that you want it to be. But you did hit on a good point, Ben. A home is not a refrigerator, so it will only cool to a certain extent.
Right. So if you are seeing, your thermostat's at say 72, but it's like 74 in your house, maybe don't panic. It might just be because it's so freaking hot out there.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's just flat out it's not gonna keep up on these extremely hot days. And typically that means there's nothing wrong with your AC system. It was designed for that. When people think of HVAC, a lot of times they hone in on the H in the AC, which is the heat and the air conditioner. The V is your
Mhm.
ventilation aspect. So once that air
Ah,
conditioner has run for a certain amount of time, it's really helping to condition your air. So you really want a system that is sized according to your home to give you the most efficiency 350 days out of the year. You're going to have some anomaly days, um, but you want that system to run for an extended period of time. If you have a system that's oversized, you're going to have it turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. And it's never going
interesting.
to hit its peak efficiency.
Now, I've noticed in my house, basement's obviously cool. The first floor is really cool. Now, the upstairs feels just a tad more humid. Is it something we should think about if the humidity is not being drawn out of the air? While it might be 72 in the thermostat, but it just feels more humid. Is that normal as well, the humidity factor?
Yeah, when you go to your second floor, because I have a similar setup that you have been. I'm 2 stories on a basement, and my my I call it a furnace air handler. It's in the basement of my home, and what helps a little bit on my house is that furnace that's in the basement, that's handling the basement and the main floor. On your thermostat, you've got an option for your fan. It's got auto and on. What that means is if you have it in the on position, it's going to constantly circulate that air. And where that helps a
Hmm.
little bit is if you do have a furnace in the basement, because you're going to have return air in the basement as well. So when you've got that fan in the on position, it's pulling that cool air from the basement into that furnace and distributing it throughout that main floor. It's not going to work 100% if you don't have air conditioning, but it's going to at least help mix that air temperature and help that cool basement cool your main floor partially. As far as the upstairs unit, yeah, that bad boy's going to work pretty hard. Heat rises, and yeah, mine does the same thing. Matter of fact, my second floor is smaller than my first floor, but the air conditioner for my second floor system is larger than for my main floor system.
Mm,
For that fact, heat rises, and you got to battle it.
right. And I would say too, I've talked to, some HVAC folks here recently, and they're like, you should get regular checkups. And you might be like, they're trying to sell me on this subscription checkup service, right? But if you're not good at changing filters and keeping up with things, you might be spending more down the road than you would having these checkups. What do you think of that?
A lot of them do have good services, but a lot of times you got to look at, are they simply trying to sell me a new system? Is that what it comes down to? But you have good players and bad players out there. So I think a service schedule would be beneficial for somebody that doesn't really know the inner workings of how the system works, and they just want that additional peace of mind that, hey, I'm on a maintenance schedule, and company XYZ is making sure I've got a good cleaning in the spring and the fall. That's something you can definitely get involved with. For me on mine, it's pretty simple. We've got an air filter. We got to make sure that we change that air filter monthly.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there definitely are some companies that offer services like that kind of takes that out of your mind and puts it onto their plate to where you don't have to worry about it as much. So there's
Yeah.
definitely some good
I think my
companies out there.
mom, I think my mom, since I barely do mine regularly. She's got a company that helps out every now and again. But you said monthly. I've been like quarterly, and I just changed out my filters, and my dogs have been shedding like crazy, and it was completely covered up. So I've got to do the homework myself to remember that too. Now, what would you say? The wintertime, we always think about, sealing up the cracks and making our houses tighter so they're not leaking and we're not letting in that cold air. Is the same true in the summertime? We need to be watching for those leaks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and make sure that you keep the doors shut. I mean, it's a pretty common thing, but make sure you keep your doors shut. Um, Windows are a big thing. You're gonna gain a lot of heat beating through those windows. So if you've got blinds on your windows, make sure you keep those closed through the day. It's gonna help kind of combat those UV rays from hitting your house so bad. Um, that's kind of the main thing is make sure your filter's clean. If it's not clean, put a new furnace filter in. Keep the blinds shut. Make sure the doors are shut. Stay inside. Don't. I'm sitting outside right now, and I'm telling you, it's
Sweating
on the
already. I
verge
know.
of it. Yesterday was on the verge of dangerous. I told my guys, I said, hey, go to a house that we've got that's got AC in it. Work inside for the next couple of days because it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, for sure. And Vicky Berger's got a comment. Yeah, my brother lives on a farm and it's sticky and hot. His AC went out 2 days ago. They had to order the part. So, I mean, I've got a truck that I drive around without AC and it's rough. And but a house without AC that is rough stuff. So hopefully your brother gets that part in very soon. Now, speaking of workers, what is the Home Builder Association here in Southern Indiana that you're part of?
Building and Development Association of Southern Indiana.
Okay, so I'm sure there's got to be talk about safety. You got subcontractors that work on homes; they've got bosses. So there's got to be a responsibility there. I mean, a lot of Gatorade, maybe not during the peak of the afternoon heating. What kind of changes in your business do you see during heat waves like this?
We see a lot of people where they'll work from 6 to about 11 a.m. and then they'll cut out for 3-4 hours and come back in at about 5:30, 6 o'clock and work till
Mm-hmm.
8, 9 o'clock at night. So they're still getting their full 8 to 9 hours, but they're really skipping that main hot part of the day. Stay in the shade, plenty of liquids. But at the end of the day,
All the heat safety tips, yeah.
Ben, I would still prefer this over the cold. When it comes to working in it, I would prefer this over
Really?
the cold. Yes.
Well, you can get more done. You can get the concrete in. You can get a lot done, even when it's hot and sweaty out there like this. So my one last question here, because this one just is kind of a personal note. So say you've got maybe you didn't buy a new home or didn't have a custom home built like you do, but you're starting to see this is all about like caulking. So whether it's doors and windows or whether it's your kitchen and bath, when should you think about doing it yourself or getting somebody to check it out and maybe do it for you? Because caulk doesn't last forever, right?
Right. Right. It shrinks up and it cracks when the heat gets to it. So on a lot of the homes that we build, one of the first places you'll see it when you come back for a warranty is crown molding on the ceiling because heat rises. That's the highest point. It's going to shrink and crack. When it comes to touching up your own caulking in a home, crown molding, trim, stuff like that, those are all aesthetic things. So that's definitely something that people can do. It's not going to hurt anything. When it comes to bath areas, exterior of the homes, if you've got a leak and you're trying to fix it yourself, you might want to at least lean on a professional and say, here's what I've got. Here's what I'm looking to use to fix it. Is this going to work? Yay or nay? Because you want to make sure you're sealing up whatever issue that is that you have on the exterior of your home. But when it comes to menial little touch-ups on trim and stuff like that, it's definitely something you can take care of.
Very good. Now, do you have anything else you want to add that you were thinking about during the heat wave that I haven't touched on yet?
No, just make it cooler, Ben. I mean, it's funny because for you as a weatherman for years, I mean, people love you when it's 70 and sunny. When it's hot like this or when it's freezing cold, it's rough on us out here.
And it's human nature to complain about no matter what's happening, because we were complaining about the winter. we were complaining about too much rain through the spring season, and now it's summer, and now it's too hot. So there you go.
Yeah, it's
It would be nice to have something normal, though. So yeah, next week we've got actually a decent rain chance next Tuesday, and then maybe a little bit cooler as we head to the middle of next week, which will be my birthday, July 3rd, and then the nation's birthday, July 4th. So hopefully around that celebratory period, we'll be cooling off a little bit. Thanks for taking time with us, Brad, and we'll see you next time on Wednesdays with Weddington. Appreciate it.
All right, see you, Ben.
Thanks for sweating it out. We'll see you later. All right, that's Brad Weddington, and he's talking about a cool down, and it looks like we don't have a cool down really anytime soon, as you can see the forecast here. Let me go ahead and we'll take away that little banner. But if you ever have any questions for Brad, you can always just, again, email me, ben@extolmag.com, or comment below, and we'll get those comments right to Brad. So there is our steamy 7-day forecast. Low to mid 90s today through the weekend. Isolated pop-up afternoon, early evening showers and thunderstorms. And then next Tuesday, looking at the potential for some relief, maybe a little rain relief first for more of us Tuesday. I know a lot of our yards, if you're not getting that shower, you've been lucky to get some of those pop-up showers lately. If you have, I haven't had one yet. And then next Wednesday, looking at maybe some 80s and maybe a few leftover showers around as well there. All right, we're going to take a look at the weather model data here in just 1 second. And again, you can always find us at Extol Media on YouTube. Go ahead and like and subscribe right there. I'm going to refresh our extolmag.com/weather just to look at how much of a scorcher it already is out there. So at 10:27 on this Wednesday, happy hump day to you. On this June 25th, we are already up to 90 in Louisville and upper 80s to around 90 across the area. So it's easy to get to 90 by noon, mid 90s for this afternoon. And switching on the alerts, there you go. That is the heat advisory that continues over the Ohio Valley, including all of our area. And then it stretches all the way into the east when it turns into excessive heat warnings off to the east. So will we have another day of these heat advisories? There is likely a good chance that we will have it again for tomorrow. So that is the heat advisory that we have across the area. Let me go ahead and click off of that and get rid of some of the alerts right here. And almost no wind out there, by the way. So there's not much relief from any breeze that we might typically have across the area. So let's go ahead and bring on, again, a look at the radar and satellites. If you've been kind of paying attention to the analysis of what's going on here. So we have big ridge of high pressure. And it is blocking rain chances to the north, kind of like a brick wall, except for a couple of those thermals that sneak through, and you get an isolated pop-up, little slow-moving shower or storm. But this is the ring of fire, so to speak. And this is, you can see we're just baking day after day under this consistent high UV index across the region. And what might change, though, as we head into late next week, is that this area of high pressure, this big dome of high pressure, might actually start to move to the west. So right now you've got the jet stream doing this, like this big hump right here. Well, the setup next week might be the jet stream doing this. All right, so the heat wave kind of retrogrades out to the west, and then we would be in the ring of fire next week, meaning we might have some rounds of showers and thunderstorms and maybe a busier weather pattern as we head into maybe late first week, second week of July. Might be a weather pattern change for us. It would not be as hot, maybe not as humid as we have more of this northwest flow, but that's something to keep in mind. Weather pattern change, that would be actually good for farmers, that they could get some more water on the fields for the soybeans and the corn. But we might be in a stormier weather pattern again at some point in July as the high pressure starts to move out to the west. So that's, again, something to think about there down the road. Let me go out of full screen mode, and we'll bring in the the future radar here to just show you the kind of the nature of the pop-up showers and thunderstorms. There actually might be a couple areas that see a little better chance of that pop-up shower or thunderstorm than some others today. And I think southern Indiana might see a little better chance of that than Kentucky overall. So we're going to look at the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh weather model here at 10:30. So this is time now. You can see it's picking up very well in the ring of fire, meaning the showers and thunderstorms on the edge of the heat wave. The heat wave is a ridge of high pressure, big dome of heat, and it is blocking out the rain chances for the most part off to the northwest. As we zoom in here and head into it's going to be most likely late afternoon before we start to see some pop-ups around here. This is at 4 p.m. Still shows dry weather here locally. And as we go into 5 p.m., now 6 o'clock, this was like yesterday's time frame too. Around 6 o'clock, we started to see enough of those thermals heading up and making their way, becoming a cumulonimbus cloud, big enough to produce a rain shower or maybe a little bit of thunder as well. This is at 7 o'clock, and right before sunset might be kind of the better chance. But notice generally here, we'll see if this happens, kind of along 64 and north is a little better chance of that pop-up shower or thunderstorm late afternoon into the early evening. We'll see if that's the case. You know, a couple days this week, we had a little better chance overall in Kentucky than Indiana. It's been overall pretty random with the rain chances here lately with these pop-ups. I want to go back over some comments here as we've had some since I've left off there. Marcia Fox, good morning for the Foxes. Good morning. We got Amber Mead tuning in this morning as well. There's John Fox. Simon says, I love the snow from the snow picture I shared earlier. Vicky Berger in here with a hi, Ben, and have a great day. Great day to you. Lillian Lasley has 87 at her house right now. And Beverly, today is my brother-in-law's Sam Haggis birthday. Happy birthday to Sam Haggis. Thanks for the birthday shout out there. Beverly, Laura, thanks for tuning in here this morning. And Steve Gibbons says, think about all the problems we would be having if it were winter and the same kind of excessive temperatures, only cold. So yeah, like over a week of a severe cold and maybe ice and all those problems. We had some of that last winter. It was a pretty hardy winter, in my opinion. All right, so that is a look at this afternoon. Let me go ahead and bring back, we're going to look at the NAM 3 kilometer, the other high resolution weather model, and see what it says about later this afternoon. It has, again, mostly dry conditions through mid-afternoon. This is at 4 o'clock. Here's 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't have much over us at all. It's got more of the activity to the north. We'll see if that happens, if a storm system can get together in central Indiana around sunset. It looks like that mostly stays north of us, if that does happen. And then as it moves deeper into the ridge of high pressure, it looks like that would be on a weakening trend as it moves in. The HRRR weather model did not have really any of that happening. So it'll be interesting if that does try to happen. That's at 11 p.m. later on tonight with the best chance of rain over southern Indiana. All right, so very, again, similar weather pattern over through the weekend, as we've been showing you. I'm going to pick up the GFS weather model here now as we look a little bit deeper down the road, and we'll keep the reflectivity on. I'm going to go to Monday and Tuesday and see if we've seen some consistency day by day, as we've had a pretty good chance of rain popping up on Tuesday, July the 1st. So I'm going to go to the 30th. This would be Monday afternoon. Notice the storm chances are best to the north, closer to that front. Laura saying, I'm wishing for that nice May weather we had. Except for all the rain. We've had just way too much rain through the spring season. This is 8 p.m. Monday and into Monday night. So will the front actually be a little sooner? Maybe Monday night we start to see an increasing rain chance. Now we're going into Tuesday morning, July 1st, into the afternoon. front moving through the region. You know, it's not showing a ton of rainfall as it moves through. It won't be a strong front as it moves through. And then this is heading into Tuesday night and taking this weather model into Wednesday with most of that rain along that front off to the south. So that front has enough push to move south of our area here by the middle of next week. So what's behind that front? Well, obviously we're hoping for some cooler conditions. Looks like some 80s for highs and a little bit of a drop in the humidity as well. So let's bring up the dew point, and we might actually be able to bring up the precipitable water. This is how much water is, you know, available for storms to put down. So you can notice the difference here with this front moving through. Anything in the red, that is your like super muggy air. And that blue color is the drier air. Notice it is a fine line. Central Kentucky south midweek is where the air that we have now, the air that you can wear basically, the sweaty weather that we have, is basically, I would say, around the Bluegrass, Western Kentucky Parkway south, and then north, trying to get in on this more refreshing air with that north flow. So here we got the north flow, but how far south will this drier air push in? So that is July 2nd, Wednesday next week. Maybe we'll get that punch of some drier air in here. And what about the 4th of July? We're getting a question about that. I think we'll still be in the more relief pattern than the excessive hot pattern. I don't think that jumps up for the 4th of July. At least I hope it doesn't there. Good question there by Laura. And we are going to look at July 4th and see, again, we'll see if that red moves up to the north here. All right. So let's go to July 3rd. It tries to bump up just a little bit, but it's very close. So you're wanting blue or yellow, okay? When we're looking at this map, that's less humid air. You don't want the red or the pink or the purple. That is super muggy air. Perry Porter popping in a little bit late. All right, we're right in the middle of the weather model data. Then we'll get to the forecast. Thanks for jumping in here. All right, we're going to go to the 4th of July. It's got a little bit more mugginess trying to creep in. We'll see if that actually happens. So red is muggy. Let's take a look at the dew points for our 4th of July. And they're kind of going back up. You don't, the upper 60s and 70s dew points, that's tropical air kind of moving back in for the 4th of July. And wouldn't that be typical? But let me go back to the 2nd, next Wednesday with the dew points. And let me clear those off. And so 60s would be a lot more, it would be noticeably more comfortable if we could get dew points in the 60s or allow the air temperatures to drop. But notice Kentucky maybe not seeing as much of that relief. So that is kind of a decent difference here. Let me go ahead and bring this up full screen here for you. So in the green, that is dew points in the 60s that measure water content in the air. You want the lower the dew point to feel better. And then notice Kentucky is still in the soup, still in the Louisiana air. And so we'll just have to wait and see how far south we can actually get that dry air to punch in next week. Hopefully it'll be a nice break for a little while. Now I'm going to go farther down the road. Let's go to like July 5th. So that would take us into what, Saturday next weekend? And there are some signs here. Let's maybe go a little bit farther down that we do get in a pattern of some relief. It might even be the 2nd week of July. But so I'm going to go to the 6th. So the 4th is Friday, the 6th is Saturday. I'm going to go to, so that would be Saturday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. No, that'd be Sunday. So that's Sunday. And notice we're starting to get some drier air moving back into the region. even for Kentucky. So again, I don't think this heat wave is going to last forever. It does look like middle of next week, a little break, maybe the following week. So looks like the heat wave backing down a little bit for parts of July. We can go to the 7th of July. And it looks like we might have kind of a series of fronts moving in from the northwest that might give us some bouts of drier air. And that is definitely some drier air right there. Dew points in the 50s nearby. That would be really refreshing if that happens going into the second week of July. This is July 8th right there. So just some hope there. You know, July is typically our hottest month of the year, especially mid to late July. Climatologically speaking, is the hottest part of the year. But around that second week of July, we might be in that pattern of some storms, but also some drier air punching in from time to time as well. So don't think the whole summer is necessarily going to be like this. And like this, I mean that hot sunshine that we're seeing live out here with our live camera in uptown New Albany there at the corner of Vincennes and Market. That is some hot concrete and pavement out there. And make sure you're protecting the pets. Make sure you also, just a reminder here, as always, remember the kids in the car, the pets in the car, cannot leave them in the car. Lillian Lousy, appreciating all the hard work. Thanks, Lillian, for tuning in here this morning. Laura, what is the difference between dew point and humidity? So there's a big difference. Dew point, say it's at 75. So that's the temperature you need the air to drop to create dew, or to condense moisture out of the air and make it into liquid water. And that's going to happen. Like if I take this, you know, outside my Cardinals cup, it's got some ice in it. So it's going to cool the air right around it down to the dew point pretty quickly. It's going to create water droplets on it. So when the dew points are high, that's a measure of a high amount of water content in the air. Higher the dew point, the muggier it is going to be. When you get dew points in the 50s and below, it feels good. When you get dew points in the 60s, it starts to feel a little sticky. When dew points are in the 70s, it is like it is outside now. It is as muggy as it can possibly be across the area. Now, humidity is just how close we are to saturation. So at nighttime, if you've noticed in the early morning, if you're up early, we're getting the temperature pretty close to the dew point. Say the dew point 75, temperatures in the upper 70s, maybe mid 70s, starting to get a little haze or a little light fog. That's because we're getting close to the dew point. Saturation is pretty close. Your humidity might be 80, 90, 95% in the early morning. And then once the air temperature goes back up to 95 and your dew point's at 75, your humidity is going to drop off to maybe 50 or 60% in the afternoon. So as far as how it feels, dew point is the best way to go, because your humidity is going to drop in the afternoon when you get the separation in temperature and dew point. And then once the temperature gets closer to the dew point again, and the dew point's not going to change unless you get drier air to move in. It's a sign, a measure of the kind of air mass that you have over your area. And we've had basically continental tropical air over our area right now. And obviously out west, you've got continental desert air out to the west, where these dew points are down here in the 30s and 40s. That's your dry heat out in the desert. We have Gulf air over our area. So that's the big difference there between the dew point and humidity. Dew point is the best measure of how much moisture is in the air and how uncomfortable it is going to be. Laura saying, fill up the bird baths too for all the animals. The unfortunate thing with the bird baths is they fill up with the mosquito larvae. Simon is expecting a storm. I hope it's not too bad. I have not been forecasting for weather out your way. Let us know how it goes. And Laura's saying, okay. All right, let me bring up a look at the current temperatures. Let's see if this pops on the current temps across the whole United States here. Actually, this one will do it. All right, so it's right about at the front range of the Rockies. It is where, if you want to feel good, look out west there. That's where temperatures are in the 40s and 50s this morning. And then the heat wave continues over our region and off to the south. So we are hotter than Florida right now, 84, 82 in Miami. It actually feels better in Miami. It's crazy. We've just pooled up this moisture in the Ohio Valley, and it's like the Caribbean out there. All right, let me bring up the current dew point as well. And then we'll get back to the forecast, and we'll wrap things up here on this Wednesday, June the 25th. And that's not the weather, that's not model data, that's the actual live temperatures. And this is the actual dew point across the United States as well. So as we zoom in here, our dew point 75 in Louisville, measure water content in the air. You've got lower to mid 70s in Florida and along the Gulf. So, you know, if you've been on vacation in those areas, it is nonstop sticky weather throughout the summertime. And we feel exactly the same way here. So a little bit of a lesson on those dew points, as it is rather tropical. Go ahead and put on the dew point map with that. And there you can see the big difference behind the Rockies there. That is the really dry air that's in place there. And it looks like I've got the radar. I'm going to turn the radar off on this and actually save this scene as dew point because I like it. I like it. We're going to save that scene there. Laura says, just spray it out with clean water when I water the flowers. It is a chore you got to remember to do. And we've got Jeanette Pierce. Good morning. 87 in Litchfield. Stay cool if possible, if you can today. Yeah, Laura, we are not good about the daily refill with the bird baths, but a good reminder there to keep them nice and clean for the birdies. There are a lot of songbirds out there this morning. And here we go. There's my cat. He loves the heat. I don't know what it is about cats, or at least my cat. He loves to be outside, sprawled out in that heat. That is Mr. P, the Mr. Purrington out there, loving that heat yesterday. So again, these isolated pop-up showers are going to be possible this afternoon, especially late afternoon into the early evening time. They can be very small, maybe sometimes only a mile or two wide. If you look in the central bottom portion of the screen right here, that is the rain core right there, straight up and down, the rain shaft. And so around it, you can see the sunshine. And some lucky folks here around Charlestown, Indiana, I believe, and maybe even Oldham County. This is from Robert Fisher, by the way. And there you can see the highlight of that little rain shaft right there late in the day. I think it was around 6, 7 p.m. And just some cool thoughts every once in a while here for you. UV index 10, very high today. Easy to get a sunburn. We're going to a high of 96 for this afternoon. With that heat index around 100 to 105, 20% chance of that pop-up shower or thunderstorm, maybe just a little better chance north of I-64 this afternoon. But these are so randomly placed, it's definitely hard to kind of time out and pinpoint where exactly these pop-ups are going to be. 78 for our low tonight, mostly clear and muggy with a light south breeze. And we're looking at 91 by noon tomorrow, 95 the afternoon high, very similar to today. With maybe a couple of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Back to the 7-day forecast, looking at lower to mid-90s through this weekend. We may see a little better chance of some of these pop-up showers and thunderstorms Saturday, but certainly good for the pool or the lake if you dodge one of those pop-ups every now and again. And then a front looking like it'll move in Monday night into Tuesday, increasing our chance of some showers and thunderstorms as we start off July, backing down the heat wave here as we should head back into the upper 80s by around that time. All right, let me get that out of the way here and bring back up. I just want to see the current conditions out there just within an hour. We've been broadcasting here for about 50 minutes, streaming here. And one thing I notice, usually right after the Ben at 10 show, we see the cumulus clouds growing. I don't see the cumulus clouds popping up just yet. So eventually you get these thermals, I'd say around noon, and you'll start to see the cumulus clouds growing and growing and growing. So there we go. We're already at 90 in many locations, upper 80s, lower 90s. This is the interactive radar map where you can put on the winds and the temperatures and any alerts that might be around the area. So we're around 90 already. And hotter than, again, a lot of Gulf locations, about the same as South Georgia, South Carolina. We're all feeling about the same. So this heat wave covering a lot of real estate. And you can find these resources here, as always, at extolmag.com/weather. So check that out. You can see the 7-day forecast posted every day. Live look here as well with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation camera, and not seeing the cumulus clouds growing just yet. It's kind of like 11:30 noon. Start to see the cumulus clouds starting to rise. Need to make a time lapse of that. That would be really cool. Seeing them develop and then just rising in the air, as this has been a very repeatable weather pattern that we've had here lately. Again, I want to thank Ivy Tech, ivytech.edu. Head over there to their location. You can also just head to the campus one-on-one, especially Tuesdays at the Tech. You can register there for that. You can register for classes. Summer session right now, but you can register for the fall session, which is August 25th. You can learn more about tuition and aid and admissions and classes and all the programs offered there to get your certification and level up into your career, which you can find a career right here. They are hiring at Lyons Roofing, family-owned company right here out of Memphis, Indiana. 812-294-3595. They are hiring. So you can see the application here is online for a roofing repair technician. A bunch of job postings. You can apply now at the available employment opportunities at libspaving.com. B as in Ben with that, libspaving.com. You can also call them in the upper right-hand corner. Check them out. Newwashbank.com is where you'll find all the offerings from NWSB, people you know wherever you go, banking the way you want. And of course, you can find all their services and offerings and home equity lines of credit, home loans, personal and business lending, lots of different things you can find out there. I want to thank Brad Weddington for hopping on for Wednesdays with Weddington a little bit earlier. I think that interview was right around 10:15. If you're watching the replay, we talked about ways to save your home from the extreme heat across your area. And don't be afraid if the AC doesn't feel like it's working quite as well. We kind of talked about that as well with Brad Weddington of Weddington Custom Homes, weddingtoncustomhomes.com. And a reminder, head to Extol Media. You can like and subscribe right there to our channel. Find not only our Ben at 10, but Extol Unfiltered Monday morning at 9 a.m. and other videos that we have there posted from time to time as well. So a lot to check out there and everywhere. We're all over the place here. So again, thank you for watching our Ben at 10 this morning. It is coming up to 10:54. It's been a long episode of Ben at 10. Thanks for liking, subscribing, following Extol Media on Facebook, that is. Meteorologist Ben Peine right here on Facebook. If you're watching from my page, thank you very much. Or perhaps you are watching from Extol Media on YouTube. There it is, Ben Peine, P-E-I-N-E. Looking at the last comment of the morning, it looks like Vicky Berger in with it with have a sunny day and keep cool out there. Have a great one, guys. See you later.